Hey everyone, ready to jump into the world of fintech? Like really jump in. We're talking Japan, and it's way more than just cherry blossoms and bullet trains, right?
You got that right. It's a whole different ballgame over there, in a good way.
Okay, so full disclosure, we've got this report, Fintech Laws and Regulations 2024 Japan, which is kind of our treasure map today.
Less about deciphering legal jargon, more like here be fintech dragons, but like friendly dragons this time.
Exactly. So if you're listening and thinking, wait, isn't Japan all about tradition? Think again. They are not just keeping up, they're aiming to be the ones making the rules.
It's kind of their thing, you know? Strong financial foundation, but then, bam, super high-tech vision for the future.
Which, for those of us not fluent in Japanese yet, means we're going to break it down. And trust me, by the end of this, digital securities, embedded finance, these won't just be buzzwords.
Yeah, no, this stuff matters, like globally matters. How Japan does fintech is going to ripple out big time.
So, question one, what's making Japan so different in their approach?
I'd say it's the government's role. They're not waiting around. They're straight up saying, we're shaping the future of fintech, which is, bold.
That's a nice way to put it. And case in point,
Yeah.
the whole Web3 white papers thing, okay, before everyone tunes out thinking it's too techy,
It's the future of the internet, basically. Blockchain, decentralization, all that jazz. But Japan's not just talking about it, they're setting up the rules of the road right now.
so it's like they're laying the foundation for a financial system that's like built on this next level tech from the ground up.
Exactly. They see where things are headed, and they want to lead the pack, not just follow along.
Smart move, honestly, especially in a world where fintech changes, like every 5 minutes. Okay, let's get specific. What's actually popping off the Japanese fintech scene?
Well, you can't talk about fintech without mentioning cryptocurrency, right? And Japan was ahead of the curve on this one.
Oh, for sure. Back in 2017, remember the whole Bitcoin frenzy? Everyone was like, what is this? Japan was already writing the rule book.
Exactly. And they've kept refining those rules ever since. What's interesting is they really differentiate. It's not just crypto good or crypto bad. They see the nuances.
Like Bitcoin is volatile, right? Goes up, goes down, gives you whiplash. Stable coins, on the other hand, different story.
Right. And they regulate them differently, which makes sense. It's like having separate lanes on the highway for different types of vehicles.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
And that approach, that's what's made Japan a magnet for those big financial players, but also for the startups. Everyone wants in.
Oh, absolutely. They've created a space where innovation can actually thrive.
But it's not just the crypto game they're killing it in. This whole digital securities thing, that's huge too, right?
Huge. And I get it, it sounds kind of intimidating, but imagine like taking a real world asset, say a bond or even real estate, and making it digital.
So you're saying I could own a piece of, like the Tokyo Skytree, but digitally.
Potentially. And because it's digital, trading is instant, secure, the whole 9 yards. And Japan, they're leading the charge. They even made their own trading system for it.
Their own stock exchange, but for digital stuff. So like a NASDAQ, but, cooler because future.
Exactly. And it's not just a concept, it's live. Digital corporate notes, tokenized real estate funds, it's already happening.
So they're proving this isn't some far-off thing. Digital securities are here, and they can change how we invest, period.
A game changer for sure.
And then there's how we're paying for all this futuristic stuff. Japan's mobile payments game is on another level.
Right. When was the last time you actually used cash there?
It's all about the pay and line pay.
Yeah.
Seriously, everyone's phone is a wallet there.
And the big players see it. Remember when PayPal bought Paydi Inc., $2.7 billion, a record-breaking deal? That tells you something.
Yeah, that wasn't just pocket change. That was, we are betting big on Japan kind of money.
For sure. And they're not stopping there. They've got this whole other thing going on, embedded finance.
Okay, break that one down for me.
So imagine booking a flight online. Right there, next to choosing your seat, you can also get travel insurance. Even apply for a loan. It's all built in.
So it's like, instead of going to a million different places, everything's just there.
Exactly. And it's not just travel, it's everything. Think Culture Convenience Club, books, movies, that kind of thing. They're teaming up with banks to offer financial services right on their platform.
So basically, Japan is saying, why keep finance separate? Let's just weave it into everything we do.
And they're backing it up with licenses. They've got this new one, the Financial Services Intermediary Business Operator License, which sounds super official.
Catchy too, but what does it actually do?
It lets companies be the middleman for all sorts of financial services without needing a bank breathing down their necks. It's about flexibility, connecting people with what they need more directly.
Okay, so they're clearly all about innovation. But with all this new tech and stuff, how's Japan making sure it's, actually safe? That's what I want to know.
That's where the regulations come in, and Japan takes those seriously. It's kind of their thing, They're all about balance. Push the boundaries, sure, but gotta protect folks and keep things stable.
Right. Got to make sure the whole system doesn't, like, short circuit from all the innovation.
Exactly. And Japan, they're known for doing things right, even if it takes a little longer. That's their whole deal.
And we got a taste of that with the cryptocurrency rules, but let's unpack that a bit more.
Sure thing. So they don't just lump all crypto together. They get it, different types, different rules. Nuance is key.
Makes sense. So, like, what does that look like in the real world? If I wanted to open a crypto exchange in Japan, what then?
Oh, you better be ready to jump through some hoops. We're talking top-notch security, serious anti-money laundering measures, the whole 9 yards. They don't mess around.
So it's not a free-for-all, which honestly is probably a good thing.
Oh, definitely. It's about building trust.
Yeah.
Right. And that leads us to digital securities. This is where Japan's really thinking ahead.
Okay, so how so?
They saw these new digital assets coming and realized, hey, our old rules don't quite fit, so they made new ones.
Smart. So they didn't try to shove a square peg into a round hole?
Nope. They updated their laws specifically for digital securities, investor protection, transparency, the works. It's all there.
So, concrete example. Let's say I want to offer digital securities to the public in Japan. What's the deal?
Well, you're going to be going through a registration process, kind of like with traditional securities. They want to keep things fair.
So no matter what you're investing in, digital or not, you get the same protection, the same info, level playing field.
Exactly. But it's not just the new kids on the block getting all the attention.
Right. What about the traditional financial players?
They got to keep up too, right? Remember those electronic payment guys we talked about? The ones that let you see all your accounts in one place?
Oh, yeah, those are super handy.
Right. Well, they need to be registered too. Data security, consumer protection, all that good stuff. Japan's got you covered no matter how you handle your money.
I like that. It's like they're saying innovation is great, but not at the expense of safety.
100%. And here's the kicker. They've even got specific rules for stablecoins. Those ones pegged to regular currencies like the dollar or the yen.
Right, right. So they're taking their early crypto knowledge and applying it to this new thing.
Exactly. They see the potential, but they're also aware of the risks, so they're being proactive.
Proactive is good, especially when it comes to money, right? So these stablecoin rules, what are we talking about?
Basically, they want to make sure those issuing stablecoins are legit. Got to have enough reserves, follow all those anti-money laundering rules, that kind of thing.
It was a balancing act. Encourage innovation, but also, don't let things run wild.
You got it. Now, don't get me wrong. Japan's not perfect. They're ahead in a lot of ways. But some areas like RegTech and InsurTech, they're still playing catch-up.
Okay, so remind me what those are again.
Right. So RegTech, it's all about using tech to make following regulations easier. Like, imagine software that does your compliance paperwork for you.
Sign me up.
Right. And InsurTech, that's using tech to shake up the insurance industry. Think AI-powered policies, blockchain for faster claims, that kind of stuff.
Ah, I see. So Japan's got some work to do there.
They're getting there, but it's still early days. But
Yeah.
knowing them, it won't be long before they're leading the pack again.
They do seem to like being ahead of the curve. So let's say I'm listening to all this and I'm like, all right, Japan sounds awesome, but how do I even get started?
That's a great question, and you're not alone in asking it. It can seem daunting, right?
Yeah.
But Japan's got your back. They've got systems in place.
Okay, good to know, because systems I can handle. What systems are we talking about?
Well, first up, you got to know the Financial Services Agency, the FSA. They're like the big boss of finance in Japan.
Okay, so they're the ones you have to impress.
Pretty much. They oversee everything, including fintech, and they've got high standards. If you want to launch something, they're the ones you got to work with.
So licenses, approvals, all that jazz.
You got it. But they're not the only ones. Depending on what you're doing, you might also need to talk to the Ministry of Economy, Trade, and Industry, MITI for short.
Sketchy.
Right. They handle things like those buy now, pay later services, which are huge in Japan.
Ah, so it's not just one government agency. It's a whole team effort.
That's Japan for you. But I know what you're thinking, dealing with all these agencies, paperwork, regulations. It sounds like a headache.
Just a tad.
But here's the thing. Japan knows that. They don't want to scare away innovation, so they've tried to make it easier.
Okay, phew. So how'd they do that?
One word, sandbox. The regulatory sandbox.
Like a literal sandbox.
Well, not literally, but kinda. It's a safe space for fintech companies to test their ideas with real customers, but without all the usual regulations right away.
So it's like a testing ground before you go live to the whole country.
Exactly. It's a way for startups to get feedback, work out the kinks, and prove their concept before they go all in.
That's actually really smart. So Japan's not just talking the talk, they're walking the walk when it comes to supporting innovation.
Oh, for sure. And they've got other support systems in place too. They've got this thing called the FinTech Support Desk. You got questions about the Japanese market, they got answers.
So it's like a one-stop shop for all things fintech in Japan.
Basically. And if you're still in the early stages, they've got the FinTech Proof of Concept Hub. It's all about helping companies develop and test new FinTech solutions.
They've really thought of everything. So it's not just about attracting companies, it's about giving them the tools to succeed once they're there.
100%. And they're not just focused on homegrown talent either. They want international players too. That's why they created the Financial Market Entry Office.
So they're rolling out the red carpet for foreign fintech companies.
In a way, yeah. They know that bringing in global expertise and investment is only going to make their fintech scene stronger.
Makes sense? So at the end of the day, Japan's not just throwing rules around to be difficult.
No, not at all. They're trying to build something sustainable, something trustworthy. They want fintech to thrive, but they want to do it right.
Right, because if it blows up, nobody wins. So it's this interesting mix of tradition and disruption. Old school values meets cutting edge tech.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so exciting. It's a balancing act for sure, but it's one that Japan seems to be pulling off.
Okay, so for our listeners who might be thinking, give me the TLDR on fintech in Japan, what would you say?
I'd say Japan is all in on fintech, but they're not messing around. They've got a plan and they're sticking to it.
It's not just about following the trends, it's about setting them.
Exactly. They're creating a system that works for them on their terms.
Which means if you're thinking about jumping into the Japanese market, you got to do your homework.
Oh, absolutely. You can't just show up with a flashy idea and expect to take over. You got to understand the culture, the way things work.
It's like learning a new language.
Yeah.
Right. Got to learn the grammar before you can write a novel.
Exactly. And that's where all those support systems Japan has come in. They want you to succeed, but you got to meet them halfway.
Right. Do your research, ask questions, don't be afraid to reach out. They've got a whole network of experts ready to help.
Because the more you know, the better equipped you'll be to navigate the challenges and really make the most of the opportunities.
And trust me, the opportunities in Japanese fintech, they're huge. But the thing is, this is just the beginning. What's cutting edge today might be ancient history tomorrow.
That's the truth. So you got to be ready to adapt, to learn constantly, to keep evolving.
Which is why we do this show, right? To keep you ahead of the curve, to give you the insights you need to make smart decisions.
Exactly. Knowledge is power, especially in a world that's changing as fast as fintech.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Now, before we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about. We've talked a lot about digital securities, how they could revolutionize investing.
Game changer, for sure.
But here's the thing. If this trend keeps going, what happens to those traditional stock exchanges? The New York Stock Exchange, the Tokyo Stock Exchange, all those iconic trading floors.
Interesting question.
Could they become a thing of the past? Replaced by these digital marketplaces that are open 24/7, connecting the whole world?
It's definitely a possibility,
Yeah.
and one that could reshape the entire financial landscape.
It's going to be fascinating to see how it all plays out, that's for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. The future of finance is being written right now, and it's exciting stuff.
No doubt about it. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the world of Japanese fintech. Big thanks to our expert for breaking it all down for us.
Lucky to be here.
And to our listeners, as always, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep your eyes on the horizon.